ONYXCON, y'all. Welcome back to another flip through. This is the voice of Joseph R. Wheeler III, the artist, founder, and president of the ONYXCON Foundation, giving you a flip through, which is what we call our series of showing you books you may be aware of, or never aware of, wish you were aware of, and why they're cool. This is Cyberpunk Trauma Team. This is based on the universe of Cyberpunk 2077, the infamous, famous video game, the world created by Michael Pondsmith, and it is produced by Dark Horse Comics. This is a trade paperback graphic novel. It is a collection of all the stories of Trauma Team. Trauma Team was a series that came out in, I believe, 2020. Well, that's one of the covers. Let's see, this was out in... Where's my date? 2021. Like I said, March 2021, the first edition of it, or at least this book, this collection came out 2021. And I believe all the books came out in the same year. It is a marvelous take on the world of Cyberpunk. If you're not familiar, I'm sure you've heard about Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is taking the world by storm. It's one of the greatest animes of all time, it's being called. It's right up there with Akira. I have to always mention Akira, another Cyberpunk classic. But as far as anime in general goes, it is definitely that show that a lot of people got on the bandwagon with and came back to the game as a result. The game experienced all new highs of people streaming it as a result of its popularity on Netflix. So if you haven't seen Edge Runners, do yourself a favor. It's worth the time. And in the world of Cyberpunk, you have healthcare, but healthcare is like hardcore, and it's an extreme need because in Night City, this super violent, one of the most violent places in this new world, people are always getting killed, getting hurt, whatever, and it's crazy out there. You know, it's super crazy. So the medical teams, trauma team, is the best care you can have. It's military level, come save you. So like we say in Atlanta, Georgia, we say if you ever get stabbed or shot or anything drastic, you want to be taken to Grady Hospital, which is downtown Atlanta. They say there's no other reason to go to Grady other than the trauma. If the trauma team had a base in Atlanta, it would be Grady. So for all my Atlanta folk, you feel me right now. But basically, like I said, they're military grade. So they come to the scene and they rescue people on the spot in the midst of crazy disasters. And in this particular series, which was brilliantly written, I mean, it could really be a movie. I mean, shout out to everybody who writes for everything associated with Cyberpunk 2077. They do a marvelous job because it's really cinematic. It's very cinematic. Everything from, like I was just mentioning, Edge Runners to the comics. They have some really good writers. The writer of this, let's shout him out. Cullen Bunn. Shout out to Cullen Bunn. The art, Miguel Valderrama, is excellent. Also, the colors, Jason Wardy. Really, really great work here, y'all. Really great. And the cover here by Miguel Valderrama also. He did all the covers and the interiors. Excellent art, excellent story. And like I say, it's cinematic. And from a perspective of someone who is a writer, myself, and an actor, I would love, I always say, to play a part when they come out with the movie, because I know the live action has got to be coming. And this particular story angle could be an interesting, totally unexpected take on something. I think they should maybe consider this as one of the angles they might want to come at for doing a live action film. Reason being, because you think about shows like The Resident, which I've been on, by the way, as an actor, so I'm speaking from direct experience of why I can see it being so popular. I mean, I'm not really personally into watching hospital dramas. You know, it's the last place on earth I want to be any day in my life. I've had a few health scares and gotten over those things, nothing too severe. So, you know, like hanging out at the hospital is not my place. And thank goodness I've never needed an ambulance to take me anywhere. But understanding that environment from a cinematic perspective and understanding the popularity of it in popular culture. I mean, think about how many people watch these types of shows. It would be a built-in audience for people who don't even get the whole cyberpunk thing. They would just be like, wait a minute, so it's a what now? You know, think about it. Somebody who watches those shows, but maybe also likes military dramas, would love this, because you're getting basically military level fights and tactical procedures, because that's what they are. They're tactical. They have to come in like a SWAT team and pull out their client. And they have to rescue whoever it is, no matter what. And it's almost like being a lawyer and finding a situation where you're representing somebody you don't want to represent, because in this particular storyline, in an earlier situation of them being called out, there's two members. There's a guy and a gal that fall in love, in the workplace, lovers. And they end up, I'm not going to give away everything, but basically they end up trying to rescue this guy who, they weren't there to rescue him. He was the problem. He was the one who was trying to kill him in the first situation. And then in a later situation, he gets away and they have to come to this new situation to bail out who? The same guy. But the issue is one of the lovers gets killed. So the other one that remains alive recognizes him immediately and is torn between doing their job and saving this person they could care less about. They, of course, they would want to see revenge, retribution for what happened to their mate. They're like, I don't give a dang if this dude dies or not, but they're supposed to do their job, all of that. So there's the conflict, and it's all through this issue of flashbacks and everything as the person's going through trying to rescue this maniac from this scene where they're fighting with the Animals gang, and the Animals is one of the major gangs in the Cyberpunk 2077 universe. They call them the Animals because it's basically a play on like when somebody says, I'm going beast mode. So they're obsessed with being, they're bodybuilder. They're a bodybuilder gang. If you can imagine a bunch of bodybuilders being in a gang, that's what they are. And they modify their bodies with cybergenetics. So they add in all the cybergenetic parts and get all kind of crazy superpowers from that. And they're just hell on wheels. They're nothing you want to deal with. And in the game, it's one of the hardest gangs to have to fight in the video game. So in the comic, if you know that and you read the comic, it's just like, whoa, real bad situation. But like I say, it's a rescue mission. If you ever seen the movie The Raid, classic martial arts film, from classic film. There's Raid 1, 2. I think they might even have 3. I know I've seen the Raid 1 and 2, I believe. But it's kind of like that. It's that level of action. It's that level of constant what's going to happen, what's going to turn around the next corner, what will the heroes have to fight, that type of thing. An amazing book, y'all. Absolutely amazing. As you can see, it's pretty long in a good way because you're collecting multiple issues of the original story in comic book form, a 20-something page issue, but you put them all together. I think you have about 4 issues all together here. It's usually 4 to 6. That's the average for a trade paperback story arc. And it's amazing. Like I say, the way they build the drama, the dialogue, when we do these, we don't want to give away anything. If you're reading, I don't think anybody's reading that fast to read between my flips. But if you can kind of get an idea of where the story is, and it's a lot going on, but it's super, super intense, action-packed, violent for sure. But that's Cyberpunk, no doubt about that. It's gritty. But like I say, it's so cinematic. I could imagine every panel of this being translated into a film. It's truly a storyboard, like any comic is a storyboard for a movie, made or unmade. They just lend themselves to that. So the rest of Hollywood, I'm part of the biz, but the folks who make these kind of decisions, if you're thinking about a way, this might be one of the, I really wouldn't want this to be the only story in a live action Cyberpunk 2077. Personally, I would like for them to maybe do a story about somebody on trauma team, and then do another story about a street kid, and then do another story about a corpo, and then another story about a nomad. Those are, sans the trauma team experts, those other 3 are really the way you play the game. That's typically the characters you have to choose from. You can be a rocker boy, you can be somebody who's a punk rocker in a band and all that in the original tabletop game. And if they blended all 4 of those story character types and told a story that intertwined, like Pulp Fiction, the classic film, and how every character in that crossed each other's paths or had something to do with the other one indirectly or directly. Just imagine what that could be in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. I think that's definitely the way they need to go with the live action film. And I keep talking it up because it's like wish upon a star. I know it's going to happen. And, you know, whether my involvement in the biz puts me in a position to be a part of that or not, I just want to see it happen because I love this universe. I think it lends itself to an incredible amount of stories and possibilities. So we shall see, right? But this is another flip through, cover to cover as we do. You got some of the covers here at the back, speaker covers. These are all the covers of the original comics. That was this first one here was number 3, the cover art. This is number 4. Beautiful, beautiful work. Beautiful work. This one's a different artist. The other ones are, let me be sure before I say that. Yeah, the other ones are Valderrama, the same guy who did the interiors and the cover of this. But this one here is Robert Semelin. Dope work. Their helmets and everything are just so cool. I think the concept is just hella rich. I mean, it turns something kind of routine and mundane into something exciting. I mean, it turns them into, you know, tactical military badasses, and they're basically an ambulance team, you know, in a hardcore teched out world where they need all this heavy duty, some of the best weapons and vehicles and everything to get them in and out of tight situations. So this is, again, Cyberpunk 2077 Trauma Team. It is a nice, thick, prestige format book you can get from Dark Horse Comics. It runs $19.99. I think I got it on a discount somewhere. Can't remember now, but there you have it. Another flip through from ONYXCON. Enjoy.